Welcome to my August 29th video update. We just returned from a trip to Canada, and I wanted to share with you today a new approach I took to packing my things. And this was also a test run, if you will, for taking just my Panasonic GM-5 camera, my Olympus 12-40 lens, the Panasonic 35-100 f4.55.6 lens, the Insta360 camera, and my Zhiyun Crane M in preparation for deciding exactly what I want to take on our fall trip to Germany. So the unique thing was how I packed my bags. So my choices of equipment and everything worked out fine. I'll explain a couple things that I really didn't use. I have mentioned before how I usually will take my Streamline 250, my low pro bag, as a day bag and just empty it and squish it and put it in my luggage. And then when I get to our destination, I use that as my day bag for the most part. Well, I had an idea this time. Instead of doing that, what I decided to do was to take my Stitch 12, this VanQuest bag that is really quite nice and it has really 3 different sizes, and it's mid-size, isn't overly big, and usually is big enough to hold a lot of the things that I normally would take. What I did, actually this opens on the top, I don't want to do that though, so let's open up the clips, is I put my Streamline 250 in my Stitch 12. So there it is. It was inside this Stitch 12 bag, which doesn't really have good dividers for protecting your equipment. And by putting this in, this bag is narrow, the Streamline 250 bag is narrower than, or not narrower, but shorter than the Stitch 12. So it left a nice secured area on the one end for my Crane M. The disassembled Crane M. Batteries and everything are in another place in the bag. And so now this bag is empty of that, but it has more things in it, obviously. So the Stitch 12 has a major compartment where the camera fits easily, and the lens and some other equipment. So here's the batteries and charging cable for the Crane M. And I did have my one camera I didn't mention. Now this is the Insta360 one, and this is the Olympus TG Tracker, little video camera. It's, again, doesn't take up very much space. It's fun for time lapses, so I like to take it with me. I know, just in case. And then I have battery charger with 2 extra batteries, so a total of 3 batteries for my GM-5, and that fits in there. But it basically becomes the compartments for the Stitch 12, and that worked out really nice. However, when I got to our destination, when we went out with our friends in Canada, I usually just took my camera with one lens on it, and that was fine. But then the 2 days we spent in Toronto, we'd go out, and I really would have liked to have taken my 35-100, but I had nowhere to put it. And I didn't want to take this bag out. Stupid, I know, but I didn't want to take it out of that bag, because then all this stuff would be kind of floating around in the bag that I didn't take with me on a day trip. So I decided I need a smaller bag. So when we got home, I went through all my little bags. I don't throw anything away. And I've stopped selling, because I think the bags I have, I do every once in a while pull out. And I found my old Mountain Smith bag, which has always been the rescue bag for me. All the time that I've been working with Olympus cameras, this bag always has come in handy. So it has a nice pocket in the front that I can put the batteries in. I could even put the charger in there, really. And what I was looking for was something that I could just take out in the day. I didn't want anything really bulky. So my GM-5 camera with the 12 to 40 lens fits in there nicely, and 35 to 100 lens in a bag just to protect it fits in nicely, as does the holder for my smartphone, my iPhone, in case I want to do videos. So this really it will work out nicely, and I think will be probably what I will do when we go to Europe. All right, so let's put that over here. And then that leaves more space, or rather allows for more space. So it's my little red bag that has, batteries in it and things for my hearing aids, a little stand for the iPhone, so that if I was on a plane, which we will be in our next trip, this trip was totally by car, so that goes in there in this little pouch at the end of the stitch 12 very nicely, and it's secure. These little pouches are very handy and do extend the bag some. When it's opened up like this though, I've got places here for pens and so on, which I didn't need. Got some wash and dries in there. And I have filters for my camera, a AAA battery charger. I may not need that, so that might be a stay at home. And there's another compartment back in here, which is handy for passport and that sort of thing, and it's secured. And then there's a pocket in the bottom, and in this I have my black bag that has a power brick, a little stand, and my recorder. So that is very useful. So this sits in the bottom and is not anything that's, it's padded enough so it's not going to get damaged, and should be in good shape. Okay, so let me close that up. To what did I use? 99% of the time I used the GM-5 with the Olympus 12 to 40 lens, and it was quite nice. However, I did, when we were in Toronto, do a bit of street photography, and it reminded me how nice it is to have an articulated LCD that you can tilt up, so you can have the camera down real low and you can see it, or you can use the camera over you like this and you can see it. You can see what you're shooting. I didn't have that. My Olympus EM5 Mark II does have an articulating LCD, but this one does not. And I even started to think, well, maybe I should take the EM5 and not the GM5. But smallness won out, because the EM5, I'll have to check it, but the EM5 with that lens and the additional lens in here wouldn't fit in this little Mountain Smith bag. It would fit in the Streamline if I took it out, but we're going to be only like 1 day, 2 days in different places, and then packing and repacking. I don't want to have to unpack everything, which is different than, for example, at the end of the trip, we're going to be in a ship. I can take things out of this bag, and they'll stay for 2 weeks, so it's not a big deal. But when you're packing and unpacking every other day to move on to the next location, then that's a bit of a hassle. But I did use this most of the time. I used my Insta360 one camera once, really, because we had some bad weather at our friend's cottage. But I did use this to take some pictures off the dock and around their house. So I'm glad I had it with me. And our next trip is going to be similar in that we're going to be visiting the relatives in Germany. And then my wife and I will spend 2 days by ourselves in Munich and 2 days by ourselves in Barcelona. And I do want to do some travel photography experimentation with the Insta360 one camera. And even though I didn't use the gimbal at all, because I really didn't do any video on this trip, I do plan to do video. I do want to do video when we're in Germany and possibly on the cruise. So I think I will still take the gimbal, the Zhiyun Crane M, since it fits nicely in this bag. It's not taking up a lot of space, and it's just good to have, because I know that is something I want to do. All right, so I think I'm getting close to my perfect at least, travel gear packing for travel. And hopefully this is, if not, as I said once before, if not informative, at least somewhat entertaining to see how someone can obsess about bags as I do. Thanks very much for checking in on this video update, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Goodbye.